Henry Dunster V was the eighth granduncle of William John Gardner. Henry Dunster was a Puritan clergyman and the first president of Harvard College. He was an important precursor of the Baptist denomination in America, and especially with regarding to infant baptism, soul freedom, religious liberty, congregational governance, and a radical biblicism. He was born in Boholt Bury, Lancashire, England, to Henry Dunster. He studied at Magdalene College, Cambridge, as a Caesar, specialized in Oriental languages and earning a reputation as a Hebrew scholar. He earned a bachelor's degree in 1630 and his master's degree in 1634 and taught at Magdalene. He served as headmaster of Bury's grammar school and was a curator at St. Mary's Church in Bury. Sponsored by the Reverend Richard Mather, Dunster immigrated to Boston, Massachusetts in 1640. In August of 1640, when Henry Dunster arrived in Boston from his native England, he could have scarcely have imagined that 3 weeks later he would be asked to serve as Harvard's first president, much less that he would accept the offer to preside over a little more than an institutional idea. Almost a year earlier, the Great and General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony had fined and dismissed Master Nathaniel Eaton for neglecting and mistreating students during the college's first year of operation in 1638. With no one at the helm, the college simply shut down. Dunster's arrival set things back in motion. He was set up well as taught Harvard's entire curriculum alone for many years. Graduating the first class in America, the class of 1642. From 1649 to 1650, 8 years later, Dunster also served as interim pastor at the first parish in Cambridge until the ascension of Jonathan Mitchell. During Dunster's administration, the college built its first structures, none which stand today. And also, Harvard Yard began to expand in a process that continued through the mid-1830s. And Veritas was proposed as the first of Harvard's 3 models. Through his marriage to Elizabeth Glover in 1641, Dunster gained the first printing press in England's American colonies. He later gave or sold this printing press to the Harvard. Dunster's single most important legacy came in the spring of 1650 with the drafting of the college papers of incorporation. The General Court promptly approved this charter of 1650, which established a perpetually renewing 7-member body that shall be called the name of President and Fellows of Harvard College, also known as the Harvard Corporation. And this institution is now the oldest corporation in the Western Hemisphere. For students, the most momentous change came in the spring of 1652 when the corporation adopted a new rule requiring 4 years instead of 3 years for the completion of an undergraduate degree. The class of 1655, which entered in 1651, was the first group to feel the full impact of this addition. Despite murmurs and student discontent, Dunster successfully defended the new rule. However, when they graduated, the class of 1655 resurrected its protests under a different president, Chauncey, with 15 of its 17 members refusing to pay the commencement fee or take their degrees. The end of Dunster's term was clouded by controversy. A local law forbade any criticism of the practice of baptizing infants. Dunster opposed this view, however, believing that only the scripture's sound practice was adult baptism. Not only did he refuse to have his youngest child baptized, but he intervened publicly at the baptism of another local infant. After a dispute of such heretical behavior, Dunster had but 2 options, recant or resign, with the added frustration of finding himself on the wrong side in a transfer of certain financial powers from the corporation to the overseers. He twice tendered his resignation in 1654. It was the second one that was accepted in the fall. Dunster spent the rest of his days in Charleston and Scituate, where he became the minister of the First Church in Scituate, Massachusetts. As Harvard historian Samuel Eliot Morison sums up, Dunster's genius for organizations was such that the curriculum, the forums, the institutions the established under his presidency long lasted his time and even his century. Harvard University grew out of the liberal college as Dunster left it, and the charter of 1650 that he obtained and in all probability drafted served as a constitution for the modern university.